Hi, welcome back. My name's Jamie. I'm the founder of Journey Life Now, and this is your reading for October 2025, Aquarius Sun, Moon, and Rising, okay? So it's your reading for October 2025 for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And before we do the cards, I do want to speak about some important events that are happening this month. So I want to talk about the full moon that happens October 6th, but in relationship to the new moon that happened March of this year, okay? The eclipse, actually. And it happened in your third house, right, of communication. It had to do with, the way you speak, write, text, share ideas, right? And starting new things, planting a seed there, right? It had to do with thinking, right? Wanting to change or improve the way that you think, your ideas, the way you communicate with yourself, right? Because your thinking is a communication that you have within yourself, okay? Maybe start or improve your relationships with siblings, cousins, neighbors, okay? Becoming better about running errands, developing some type of basic skill that's going to help improve your home life, right? Your everyday life. So that, and then in June, around Cancer season, you had some type of emotional tension. Something happened, that made you kind of like check in with yourself at that point. Okay. And then here we are, full moon. Okay. Same area of your life, but this time it's shedding light on everything that you've worked up until this point. Okay. On what helped, what didn't help, what we can get rid of, right? That you tried, that you're just like, yeah, no, this is not working. But also the time to get rid of any old habits or beliefs, right? Around the relationship that you have with your siblings, neighbors, the way that you communicate with yourself, and releasing that because you're shedding light onto things that can improve or should improve. And and if you get rid of something that I don't know, you started journaling and you're just like, journaling is not for me, so I think, but maybe you think about it and you're just like, okay, so wait, I tried to actually like physically, right, pen and paper journal, but I just found like I left my notebook all the time, or I couldn't find a pen, whatever. And you're like, okay, maybe journaling I could do, but how about if I do like on my computer, I journal. I get an app, right? My Wonderful Days or something like that. And I can journal every single day because I always have my phone, right? With me, and I can do it that way. So let me try that, right? So things like that, like moments like that, okay? And on that same exact day, Mercury enters Scorpio in your 10th house. Okay. Your 10th house. It has to do with your work life, the mass that you were in the public life, your leaders, your bosses. So communication within that realm, right? Ideas within that realm. You may start to maybe question what it is you want to do with your life, right? Are there any changes that have to take place? There might be some tension, right? Within the way that you communicate at work, that then makes you question, like, is this for me, right? And if it is for me, what is it that I feel uncomfortable with, and how can I transform that and move forward? Okay. So that's a thing that happens around that time. Okay. Then October 21st, there's a new moon in your 9th house. There's a new moon in your 9th house. Okay. What does that mean? You start to question, why are you here? The bigger questions, right? Maybe you want to start some type of higher learning. Okay. It has to do with philosophy. It has to do with your father. It has to do with foreign travel, right? It has to do with exploring different cultures, maybe publishing something, understanding your connection, right, to others, universe, right? More than just every day, right? The bigger picture. It's truth seeking. And if you think about that, right, that all takes place because you're trying to come back to your true self. Okay? But you're doing this with building relationships, starting relationships that have to do with those things that I mentioned. Okay? So that takes place in October. Okay? And then in January, there's a point, Capricorn season, right, where you kind of check in, right? You end the cycle, right, that you started back in March with communication, right? And that doesn't mean that you never address it again. It's just whatever it is that you were working on comes to completion, right? And on to the next, because every year around this time, that's kind of what happens, right? You start something new in communication. Then it's also, though, the quarter moon, right, for what you started in the end of October, so the 21st. So just pay attention to those times, okay? And that's going to be probably emotional time, having to do with that, having to do with travel, having to do with culture, having to do with how you fit in around all these things, okay? Maybe something emotional to do with your father during that time, you know? Building the relationship with your father, because maybe you didn't, or maybe it wasn't the relationship that you wanted, right? So you started, and then there's like a setback, or what you think a setback is a setback, but it's really not. Okay, so that's kind of just some of the things to pay attention in October. Okay, so Aquarius, let's see what the cards have to say for you. All right, my darlings, this month is going to be heavy with people. There's a lot of people involved, which is kind of interesting. All right, so it's about like all these relationships, all these types of relationships that you have with people. Okay, I can tell you now that there's as far as an institution, whether it's your bank account, whether it's where you work, some type of hospital, some type of church, some type of institution, there's a breakdown. There is definitely a breakdown that happens. There's a shock factor that definitely takes place, right? Or you've come from a space where you've felt like everything you believed in went to shit, like it completely crumbled, and now you're seeking answers, right? You're seeking answers. So you're going to these places searching, right? Searching for the truth, searching for why, right? Why me? That comes to, right? And a part of you is like, why not you, right? Weren't you asking for change? Weren't you asking for truth? Well, sometimes the only way that truth can come in is if the false is destroyed, and that does not feel good. So that I feel like that's kind of like what's happening, and it happens because it needs you to come back to yourself. For some reason, I feel like you have been lost in a sea of people. Right? There's been way too many people involved. What does that say? That says that you have not listened to yourself. You have not taken your own counsel, right? You've taken the advice of everyone else. And sometimes the advice that people give you is from their perspective. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I need you to understand that it's from their point of view. Okay? And in this month, you have the ability to create whatever it is that you want. You can manifest anything that you want. Okay? But how do you manifest that, right? One of the ways is that you have to set a goal, and it has to be a big goal, right? It has to do with, like, how is it that you're serving the world, right? What service are you providing the world? Because once you understand that, right? Once you understand what it is that you're here to do, okay? Then everything else is achievable, because now you have a huge goal, right? Like the goal, right? And now you're here. And, you know, your goal is to get you one step closer to your ultimate goal, right? To your purpose. And the only way to do that is, the only way to manifest something is by knowing what you're trying to manifest, right? So that's what it's asking you to do. This month, there's a chance, and this all happens if you put effort towards it. It's not just going to happen. Like, life doesn't work like that, right? You have to put will, you have to put effort. And it's telling you that you're able to do that this month, you know, and a lot of it, because you're like the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? Like, that's kind of the energy that you have this month. It's like complete destruction, right? To this build up, right? Of your innate talents. Like, you, from this horrific experience, right, event, you have learned, or you have the opportunity to learn your innate talents, the things that you came into this world knowing, right? And doing something with it, manifesting something with it, right? Because now you're one step closer to knowing yourself, right? And there was an individual, right? An individual that, it could be like a fire sign, right? Like Aries, Leo, Sag, right? Or it can be you, right? But if it's this person, instead of like helping you, right? They're standing in your way. And you need to understand that. So what does that mean when somebody stands in your way? Well, you gotta move them out the way, right? Because you can't move past that, right? So if you're in a relationship, let's say, right, with an unhealthy individual, and I say, hey, they're standing in your way, right? That means that you can't continue on your journey because you have an anchor, right? They're holding you. And in order for you to evolve, to keep growing, that has to be moved, whichever way that looks, right? Is what I'm saying. And if it's you, you're in this place where you feel like, you know everything, right? You feel like you're in the right business. And here's a little clue. There's no such thing as right? You may be in the business that's best for you right now, right? Like right now, as far as time, but not that it's like the right thing. There's always room for improvement. So, a part of you wants to improve your business, right? And what it's asking you to do is take away that you think you've done things right up until this point. Remove that out of your vocabulary and think about how you can improve it, how you can change it, right? Because once you figure that out, you're like, yes, okay. Okay. Pay attention to your dreams. There's something that comes to you in a dream, possibly. Okay. and you'll get it. You'll get it. It has to do with maybe a relationship, right? A connection, anything to do with your body. There's a message that comes through, okay, that helps you either with this business. It helps you with to navigate these times and what it is that you want, even if it comes from a physical place, right? So let's say that, you know, your ultimate goal is to come back to your true self, right? To your soul self. But sometimes that has to take place with a physical element, right? And it's saying, oh, that's okay, right? If that's the path you choose to bring you one step closer to yourself, okay? It's asking you, and there's a lot of there's two kings, right? There's two kings involved, like stable energy, like stable. It's asking you to stay grounded, right? As far as finances, know that you're okay. You've worked really hard to be financially stable, right? And secure. Even though that's a tough word, because finances don't bring you security, even though I know you think that, right? I know you feel that. But the truth is, right, if you know yourself and you find security within yourself, right, then everything is just a product of that. So there's no time or no reason, right, that you should ever be fearful of that, of not being unstable. Because if you know yourself, you know that you got yourself, no matter what situation. Okay? There's fast movement, right? There's fast movement around you. Careful with speeding. That's number one. Right. Driving fast. Around you, there's things that are moving super fast this month, right? Your home, your job, people, you know, it's like everything was slow, right? There was like not much happening, and all of a sudden it's like all coming at you at the same time. But you can handle it. So don't react, respond, take a step back, see it, and go with it. You're quick. You guys are quick. Aries rules your third house of communication, your thoughts, your ideas. Like, you're quick with it, okay? Just remember that. So there's nothing to fear. There's at all whatsoever, because you can handle it. You have. I think you just have to remember that. You're putting a lot of energy possibly into wanting a relationship, wanting some type of union, wanting some type of bonds, right? And you keep wanting that, right? And you're asking for it, and you're putting a lot of energy into it. Don't do that. Why don't you instead maybe try to get to know yourself, right? The union that you have within you, right? Your soul and your body, using your mind, right? At the end of the day, you can do whatever you want, right? So the reason I say that don't put energy into that is because it will come. It will come. It will come. What's meant for you will be yours, okay? But what I'm saying is, maybe like, instead of worrying about that union, that will come when the time is right, work on yourself. Because if you're one step closer to knowing what it is that you want, right, you're one step closer to meeting the person that you want to meet, is what I'm saying in essence, okay? It is a beautiful month. Absolutely gorgeous month. There is success. You are seen. You are celebrated. It's a big deal. You're able to shine, right? You're able to show people what it is that you've been working on. You know, I know that there are times where you say, hey, I don't need recognition. I don't need anybody to see what I do, right? Because I don't need them to show me what I'm worth. But there's times where you do want to be seen. You do want to be validated, appreciated. And that's okay. That's okay. It's part of life, right? To know that all the hard work that you've put in, has benefited someone, because at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? That's what like validation, appreciation is. It's not about like your ego, right? Like, oh, I'm the best. No. It's just letting the person know, like, hey, all the hard work that you've put into this, just know that I appreciate it. And it lets you know, like, dang, okay, it wasn't for nothing, right? So that's kind of like what this month is. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, it's lots of people, lots and lots of people. Okay, so you do meet new love, and it's beautiful, right? You do meet new love. You do start the new project that you are absolutely in love with. There is something that happens this month that makes your heart sing, literally sing, okay? But it's something new, right? For some of you, there's pregnancy, whatever, right? For some of you, it's like your child. It's like your child is finally shining. They're seen. Their success. And it has to do with something that you feel so passionate about, you love so much, okay? There is that. Let's see the message. Moving forward, get ready for positive change. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's movement. There's definitely movement. There's movement. Whether new job, new house, new something, but it's beautiful. And you guys like love it. I think when you sit still too much, you're just like, ugh. Okay, so it's all good. It's all beautiful. It's all worth it. It really is. Even if like there's a moment where you're just like, F my life. Oh my God. Okay. Thank you. Please subscribe, like, comment. I'll get back to you. Love you. Bye until next month.